Hi, welcome to this week's Slice of Life story. I'm Sandra. I work at the Powell River Public Library facilitating the Memoir Writing for Seniors program. Today's story is by Christa Köstler-de Beaupré, a prolific writer, memoir writer in Powell River. She arrived from her native Austria at the age of 21 to visit relatives in Montreal. She fell in love with Canada, married, has 3 sons and grandchildren. She retired in Powell River and is writing about her many careers, including as a bank clerk, restaurateur, clam buyer, camp cook in the Yukon, and she's also writing about her adventures traveling with her late partner in their food bus to rodeos, powwows, and fairs. Her story, though, brings us back long before her career when she was a young girl in Austria. This story was published in the electronic book Turning Points, which was published in 2018 by the library. The title is The Last Truck by Christa Köstler-de Beaupré. After the Second World War, which ended for us in April 1945, the 4 Allied forces occupied Austria. The Russians, advancing from the east, claimed Vienna. I remember their soldiers using the apartment above ours as a hospital. Our country was split into 4 zones: Russian, British, French, and American. And after negotiations, Vienna was also divided into 4 parts. My family was in the American zone, where U.S. soldiers turned my school, which was half a block from us, into barracks. From our balcony, my brother and I could watch the soldiers marching down the street. The next year, in 1946, when I was 11 years old, I attended the first year of the real gymnasium, which means middle school. One day, close to Christmas, our teacher struggled into the classroom carrying a large carton. Curious, we asked what was in the box. It held a present for each of us, packed, wrapped, and sent from school children in the U.S. Since there was a shortage of girl boxes, I ended up with a present meant for a boy, but I was very happy with my gift. My box held a pair of blue socks, crayons, and a handmade card from a boy who lived far away across the North Atlantic Ocean, wishing me a Merry Xmas. I briefly wondered what the X stood for. Then I also found a leather pouch and what was to be my most prized gift. Inside the pouch were beautiful glass marbles. I held one of the glass pieces up to the light and delighted in its vibrant color. I didn't know what marbles were used for, but for a long time I carried some in my pocket so I could touch and feel their smoothness. And to this day, I love colored objects made of glass. Another surprise for us was an announcement that the school children and their teachers were invited to a Christmas party to be hosted by the U.S. Army. We would be picked up the following day in front of the school at the arranged time. After a restless night and dreams of being late and missing the fun, I arrived to school so early that it was still closed. I didn't care. I could wait. Others arrived, and we huddled together until one of the boys, who had run to the corner, shouted back to us, "I hear the trucks! Now I can see them!" He said there were 3 or 4 big army trucks coming our way. "They must be for us!" he yelled with excitement. He was right. As they arrived, we jumped and cheered and waved to the drivers and the tall young soldiers who hung on at the rear of each truck. They sure looked handsome in their tight-fitting khaki uniforms, short haircuts, caps, and white gloves. As soon as the convoy stopped, everyone rushed to the front of the line, eager to be hoisted up by the men. I wondered why the push to the front. Why no one headed to the back? Curious, I stepped towards the last truck and got a glimpse of two uniformed men who sure looked different from the others. Their faces were a dark chocolate color, brown eyes looking directly at me, and black, very curly hair. Their white teeth and white gloves were in stark contrast to the color of their faces, and their noses and lips were wider than I had ever seen on anyone before. I had to remind myself that it was not polite to stare. I felt bad that so far I was the only one moving towards these strangers. They looked friendly enough, non-threatening, so I made my decision to let them help me into the truck. I sat upon the wooden benches and waved to my friends. Some brave souls, giggling and wide-eyed, soon joined me. The Christmas party was very different from what we had imagined. In the corner was an impressive, tall pine tree, bright with different colored electric lights, not the usual white candles. A visit from Santa Claus was also a strange custom. Did he decorate the tree behind locked doors like our Christkind, I wondered? We were offered peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, to us an unfamiliar taste, with white instead of dark rye bread, cookies, and as a special treat, ice cream. Ice cream? Did I hear right? Ice cream in winter? How very strange. I loved ice cream, and each spring could hardly wait to taste my first gelato after the Italians came to reopen their ice cream parlors. I had to wonder how one would get a hold of ice cream in December, but there it was. Generous portions of vanilla ice cream that was so rich my tummy wasn't feeling well on our ride back to school, and then on the streetcar ride home. I never forgot that childhood decision when I opted to turn toward the last truck instead of the first, where the black soldiers waited for children to trust them and not be afraid of them. I had felt empathy and was rewarded by their smiling faces. Because of that day, and from then on, I was never afraid of, looked down on, or judged other people I met during my life just because they were different and I had not encountered them before. That was a story by Christa Köstler-de Beaupré, The Last Truck. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the day.